Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a cold damage focused Eldritch Knight fighter build in Baldur's Gate 3. Now I've covered the fire, thunder, and lightning versions of the Eldritch Knight so far, and this is my favorite element. What's cool about this is we're going to use a Morning Frost staff here you can get in Act 1, and it actually synergizes very well with a dagger we can use in our offhand to do a ton of cold damage. And if you're a fan of cold damage, I'm just going to humbly plug my College of Winter Spirit Bard mod that I made. It has 33 different cold damage spells and actions, a bunch of items and summons, and it's really fun to play. But we'll be focusing on the Eldritch Knight for this video. Now, at level 1 fighter, defense is honestly one of the best choices here, just because that bonus +1 armor class is really great. We can actually use our bow and do some pretty cool stuff with this as well. So we're going to be using a quarterstaff, a dagger, and a bow for this build. And for the ability score, since we'll mostly be doing weapon attacks, we don't need to invest in our intelligence that much. You can roll with a stat spread of this. However, if you do want to put points into your intelligence and min-max this build, strength potions are the way to go. So this would be the normal stat spread. And here's what I use otherwise. So yeah, you can roll with that if you want to use a bit of different items here. And if you use a strength potion. But at level 2, we get action surge. Pretty straightforward, it's strong. You get another action which can give you a bunch of extra attacks, and at level 11 we become unstoppable with the extra attack. Now we're going to be going with the Eldritch Knight fighter here. So for the spells that we're going to take, always you got to take Booming Blade here. This is just a very, very powerful option. And you could take Ray of Frost. However, the Morning Frost staff will actually give you a free one that's going to use our spell casting modifier to actually use, so that's quite nice. Bone Chill can be good too because it stops targets from receiving healing, and that means, or I guess even the name Bone Chill is cold implied, but this is good against like the Act 2 fight at the end of Act 2 where they actually resist cold damage, so this could be useful there. Now we also want to take our shield spell here, and Magic Missile is nice because sometimes that's the only way you can hit a target. And for the expanded spell slot, I like Find Familiar, honestly. This is just a really nice spell for having the Raven summon early game. If you want to feel fully thematic, Ice Knife could be a nice choice. I also like to just take Longstrider here, because it's not normally one that we get access to, but if you have someone on your team that can already do that, I guess Fog Cloud or Thunderwave can be good other choices. I'm just going to go with Find Familiar, because it's good to have that summon to just absorb maybe even one extra attack as a ritual. It's worth its while. Now, for the rest of these, I actually think that Thunderwave or Chromatic Orb are the best choices. If we're able to freeze a target, bludgeoning, thunder, and force damage are doubled, so this is actually good, but that also means that our staff gets double damage too. Kind of cool stuff. For our first feat, now, Alert is a good choice for the +5 to initiative. Ability score improvement on your main weapon attack, so either Dex or a Strength, depending on what you're rolling with. Strength is going to be covered by potions for this, my version of the build. But if you're not using potions, you could go with the ability score improvement. Another good option is the Elemental Adept Cold. Now, we're not going to be doing a crazy, it's just not possible unless you're using spells to do a lot of cold damage. So this does kind of feel like a waste when we could actually use something like Savage Attacker instead, which rerolls our damage die, which when we're doing 3 attacks, that just gives us a way higher DPS boost. I honestly think at the first level though, Alert is just really good because if you got a fighter that's clearing the board quickly, especially at level 5 with an extra attack, it can make the whole game easier. And we do a bit of cold damage with the staff anyways. Level 6 extra feat is nice too because this actually lets us go ahead and either get that ability score improvement on our strength or dex, and also alternatively take Savage Attacker, just a flat out DPS boost, so I think it's great. Now War Magic is fantastic because when you cast a cantrip, and this actually includes Booming Blade as added on patch 8, we get a bonus action attack. So we started with Booming Blade, attack, and then a bonus action attack for 4 attacks. It's absolutely nuts. Then we get to take a few more choices in spells. I think Gust of Wind is a good choice here. Not only is it thematic because I feel a gust of wind right now and it's cold, but knocking creatures off of ledges is peak comedy and one of the easiest ways to remove targets. Chromatic Orb is nice as well for, I guess, just if you wanted to proc maybe some different gear with different elemental choices. And it does have a cold damage version, so I think that makes sense here. But Scorching Ray is good, just doesn't fit the theme of a cold Eldritch Knight. At level 8 here, we get another expanded spell slot, and honestly, if you want to maximize damage, Shadow Blade would be the right choice. I'm not going to use that and instead take either Misty Step or Hold Person, or even Mirror Image. This increases armor class by 9. I just think Misty Step is such a good thing to have and have it on will, so yeah, or I guess at a spell slot cost. After this, we could go with an ability score improvement. If you're using Strength, boost up your Strength. I'm going to use a Constitution element, so getting an increase to Dexterity means higher armor class and initiative with certain armor. I also like the Mage Slayer, though. It's kind of an interesting one because you're going to have advantage on saving throws against spells that are made within melee range, and you can use a reaction to attack. Since the Battlemaster fighter gets a reaction for riposte, we don't have one. It's nice to be able to weaponize a reaction. This is a pretty fun option because, yeah, they'll also get disadvantage on the saving throw against that, so we could break some concentrations. Honestly, it's not my favorite feat, but I think it works pretty well here. Level 9 gives us Indomitable, reroll a saving throw, so again, we're now spell-proof, as much as you can get. Level 10 gives us the Eldritch Strike, so if we took Hold Person earlier, this is great because that gives the target disadvantage on their saving throw against that. We get another cantrip, and Friends, if you're the face of the party, can be a nice choice. However, we could also go with Firebolt to explode things, Minor Illusion here to group enemies together, and my personal favorite, Mage Hand. 10 turns of something I can throw water bottles, which will double your cold damage. And it can also throw health potions to keep you alive. Well then, I guess take Darkness. Yeah, not Scorching, right? Darkness and Cold surfaces stack, so it just makes sense here. At level 11, we get our improved extra attacks. We can do 2 extra attacks after making our first one. This is strong. It's just strong. It's 4 attacks total. I guess we can take Arcane Lock. We're not going to take Scorching Ray just for the thematics of this. And level 12 gives us our final feat. This could be just another increase to your attack stat here. Alternatively, since the Eldritch Knight can do a bit of throwing, you could go Tavern Brawler and throw some of the items here, but they're not going to be as optimal. Tough is good for an extra 24 health points or hit points. Lucky is another nice one that could just be added on top to make you even stronger. Even like the Heavy Armor Master if you want to reduce the damage you take. But we're going to go with an ability score improvement on our Dexterity. You would use that on your Strength or your Constitution. I should also mention, if you want to use the dagger in the offhand, you do have to take the dual wielder. However, you could use a shield alternatively if you were to go with the ability score improvement. That'll give you a higher armor class, but this actually gives us a really fun ability, which I'll cover in a moment. Now, the Cold Broom hat actually works really well here because, oddly enough, if you miss a ranged weapon attack with your bow, it actually applies the Encrusted with Frost, so we can get this to proc multiple times. Much like the Winter's Clutches, which also, when you deal cold damage, gives 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost. And when we stack that up to 7 stacks, they do a difficulty challenge, 12 Constitution saving throw, or take 1d4 cold damage and become frozen, which then doubles your bludgeoning, force, and thunder damage. So that's really good. And the other piece of cold gear, there's not too much in this game, but the Snowburst Ring here, whenever you deal cold damage, you'll create a 4.5 meter circle of ice around the target. I'm going to show how we can actually wreak a lot of havoc while using this. Now, Cloak Protection is great. There's also the Cloak of Elemental Absorption here if you want to get additional cold damage from absorbing cold spells, but I want to go without that because sometimes you'll absorb fire and then melt your ice. We'll also add on the Armor of Agility. This is a late game medium armor. You could also alternatively use like the Armor of Persistence here. Best available, so Act 1 Adamantine Scale Mail is a great choice as well. Medium or heavy mail for that. Just honestly, whatever you got best available. And even into Act 2 or Act 3, the Dwarven Split Mail is great for the boost of the Constitution. I also have the Helldust Glove or boots, which you can also use in Act 1, the Disintegrating Nightwalkers, or the Hoarfrost boots. So there's 3 anti-slip boots in the game. This makes you ignore difficult terrain, so you don't slow down while using this. This is like the best version of it, but the Disintegrating Nightwalkers are fantastic all throughout the game, and even the Hoarfrost boots from Crescia Lear are great too. Now, as mentioned, Snowburst Ring, this creates ice surfaces. The way that this gets crazy is by using our bow. I'm using the Hellrider Longbow to apply Fairy Fire and a +3 to our initiative, but honestly, if you want the best possible bow, Gaunter Mail is possibly the best because it comes with Celestial Haste. And the trick is to make sure you do have your bow out, so you just go with a ranged attack. If you don't, go to another character, equip the Drake Throat Glaive. It gives them a special ability called the Draconic Elemental Weapon. Pull out the cold one. We're going to apply that to the bow here. Now, our main hand weapons are going to have cold damage. Now our bow has it. And this is important because we can do ranged weapon attacks that are now going to deal cold damage, which will proc our gear. And if it misses, it procs our gear. And the cold damage makes Snowburst Ring hit ice surfaces below enemies. And that's even crazier when we consider Arrow of Many Targets can give you multiple targets. Slipping on ice, absolutely busted. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to go with the Morning Frost in the main hand. This does additional cold damage, and when you deal cold damage, you apply 1 more cold damage, and you get Insidious Cold. So whenever you deal cold damage with a spell, it applies chilled on the target, possibly, which is not going to be commonly happening, but we have Ray of Frost there to proc it. And if you got a spellcaster like a Draconic Sorcerer with Cone of Cold, this can be really strong together. We also have Cold Snap here, our dagger in the offhand, which is really nice because you get the chilling counter. When a creature misses you with an attack, it must do a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or become chilled, taking double cold damage. Very powerful, and you get a +1 in your armor class, so it's actually, you get a +2 to AC from this. Really strong combination, and all of these deal cold damage. So yeah, we are doing a lot. And you can also use the weapon bond there so you don't drop your weapon. On our first turn of combat, our main priority is spreading around surfaces. So we're going to want to use our bow here. And if you're using a strength potion, the Titan String's probably the best choice. I just had Gaunter Mail there. And what we're going to do is just use an arrow of many targets because this is going to apply cold damage in an area. If you get a free crit, it's actually going to crit everybody, so that's crazy. We just made a big surface of ice here, and we also applied Encrusted with Frost on 2 enemies and gave them the Eldritch Inertia, which is a condition for the purposes of stacking that Encrusted with Frost. So that's kind of the best thing to do on your first turn of combat is if you got honestly buy every arrow of many targets you can find. That's the best item in the game. Because yeah, you're just going to spread the cold damage around there, which is great because we made one of them slip and fall, which reduces their movement speed, but they can potentially slip and fall and lose their turn. That's kind of the ideal thing to have happen here. So yeah, the first attack action is possibly best to do a couple of those. I was able to take out another target there, but yeah, we got Encrusted with Frost, multiple stacks, 4 stacks on that enemy there, and Guiding Bolt down on that enemy. And I got haste on my character, so I'm going to go ahead with a Booming Blade against this target. You can use Booming Blade once per action. I'm not sure what happened there, but it took them out, I guess, so that's all that matters. Yeah, I don't know if the animations work that well on this, but I wasn't able to actually apply cold damage on the back line here, so there's another place that an arrow of many targets is going to be great, because yeah, you see there, many chances for the enemies to slip here now. But if there's not like a lot of enemies, you can just go with a regular arrow. And that was my entire turn there, but we're going to use the action surge to give ourselves a little bit more. That's the best part about a fighter is on turn 1, you just want to kind of command everything and shut it down right when it starts. And if you have arrows of ice, they work great too. This is going to give you even further amounts of ice. Fantastic. That took out another target there. And I guess I'll use the arrow many targets. Maybe we'll get lucky with it. Not going to happen, but damage both of them for a little bit. And I actually want this target gone, so I'm going to try and remove them with another arrow. Boom, there we go. We got rid of that one. And we got 1 knocked prone, 2 knocked prone. Amazing stuff. And they're getting back up. Let's see. Will they get knocked prone? Will they? They're waiting. Oh, they threw. Oh, there's another one that slipped, and 1 save. All right. We're having a pretty good luck here. Wouldn't be a Larian game without surfaces overpowering everything else, eh? So yeah, we'll just go with a normal attack there. Yeah, I don't know if the animation works for Booming Blade with a staff in the main hand and a dagger in the offhand, because this is what happens when I make mods and the animations aren't present. It gives it a bit of a lag. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, we took out that target there. We have a lot of them in the backline just slipping around. Yeah, there's 3 of them prone right now. So we're just going to make that even worse for them, because it does apply a bit more of a nice surface in that area of effect, so they'll at least have 1 chance of slipping and falling. Yeah, just spam arrows really, because I actually can't go back there. Normally I just run up and like punch them or something, but not possible. I guess we'll use the Guiding Bolt here from the bow for a bit of extra damage. We're immune to prone. We don't get slowed down. That's 1 more target down. And yeah, we still have our full attack action, so I can continue keep spamming that. And boom, this should be it right there. Yeah, there it is. So, oh, we made the civilian slip and fall too. It's crazy. Ice surfaces are so powerful in Baldur's Gate 3 because of exactly what you saw there. It makes the enemy skip their turns when they slip. If there's spellcasters with concentrations, we break them. If spellcasters come close to us, we mage break them. We got lots of counters in this game as a cold damage focused Eldritch Knight. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button and also check out the Fire, Thunder, and Lightning versions of the Eldritch Knight. They're all a ton of fun, I promise. Have a great day. We'll catch you in the next one.